What's up, y'all? LTJ Regis here. This is Throwing Light. And if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. And we are up in the UK. I have this wonderful interview I'm going to be doing right now. I'm actually going to be going to the UK, so it's so fitting. But I've got Ralph with Real Clear Fetish here. How's it going? That looks like
Hello.
that home looks comfortable.
Yeah, I've been here since January. I moved in January, so
Where are you
I
right
nest
now?
very quickly.
Where are you right now?
I'm near Brixton in London.
Right on. Is Brixton now, is that like the Jamaican area?
There is a big Jamaican community around this area, absolutely.
Brixton. I'm pretty sure I took a tube there and got out and went ate somewhere around there.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
there's a lot of Jamaican food stands, and you get a lot of fish places, and yeah, there's a lot of vibrancy around here.
Yes, that is a mighty large library. It looks like behind you. Gee.
I collect movies.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I'm a movie person. What's your favorite
Yeah.
genre?
Well, I'm a big fan of horror. Horror
Yes,
is one
so
of
am
my
I.
favorite ones. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's your favorite horror movie?
I Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's mine. Shut up. Shut up. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Never mind. I was going to bring out my stuff. I have a bunch of Freddy Krueger dolls. But anyways, okay.
Oh, I don't know if you could see
Ooh.
it. I don't know if you could see it, but over on that middle shelf over there, I have the phone that kisses Nancy in the film.
Oh, awesome.
I have like a resin sculpt of it. So I
So
went
Freddy Krueger is my favorite pop icon ever. So like
and I got the pleasure of meeting Robert England last year.
you were
So
so lucky because that's what I want to do. I'm so afraid he's going to die before I get the opportunity to. I have never been to a horror convention. I want to so bad. And I'm sure they do them over there.
oh
All
yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah, that's where I met him.
we will have plenty to talk about now. Okay, Ralph. So I met you through both of us are sober people.
Hmm.
I had the opportunity of being on your show, which I'm so grateful for to talk about that. But let's talk about how you got involved and got to this point where you're now leading a movement of sobriety.
Well, it's a weird one because I started kink when I was like maybe 22. So I was and at that time I would drink, but I wouldn't do drugs at all. That was never really I was quite against it, to be honest.
Mm.
And then when I moved to London back in 2009, you go on the club scene, you go on the party scene, and then it just slowly spiraled from there over 9 years. One of the things that made me spiral even more was the accessibility through apps like Grindr and Scruff. Um, because it just became easy to, instead of going to the bar, you would just go directly to the chill out instead.
Mhm.
So why go out if you could just go and be fucked up on drugs for like 9 hours, 10 hours, 24 hours? So it's and when I got to 2016, I my drug taking was so intertwined with my fetish, so it almost become a fetish in itself. I could not do sex without the drugs, and I couldn't do kink um without drugs as well. So it just kind of stifled everything. So when I got to 2016, I had my first drug psychosis, which is scary as hell because you get to a point where you don't know what is real and what is not real. And that is a scary place to be in, especially when you go into paranoia and think you're seeing things, or you think your phone has been hacked. Trust me, at the time, I was so convinced I had messages on my phone saying that they're gonna kill me or overdose me. And it was only the day after when I got out of the psychosis, there's nothing there. It just vanished. In my head, it's like, oh, they must have deleted them then. It was very scary, and that kind of culminated in like my first rock bottom, if you could say. I had a few after that as well, minor ones. But that was where I started going, okay, I need to really do something now, not just try to manage it, which I think is a very good step in recovery. You kind of get from knowledge to trying to manage to acceptance that you can't manage. So you kind of all have to go through those steps. And that was when I went to my first meeting, my first 12-step meeting. I reached out to a friend and they took me to my first meeting. But one of the things I found the most frustrating was yes, we are fetish people and so on, but there wasn't really any meeting here that catered to that, and it was very much almost frowned upon to talk about sex because it could be triggering to people in the room. So how do you become sober but still kinky if you can't talk about it? Or at least do it safely with the knowledge that the people you're with knows that this is a trigger point for you. So when I got to January of 2017, I was like, okay, what do I do? Well, then I make my own way back because if no one else is going to help me, I'm the one who's going to help me. And that was when Facebook still had Facebook groups. They still do, but they're dying at this point. But Facebook is dying for that matter. And I set up Real Clear Fetish as a sober alternative to kink life. And it was supposed to be a group where everyone's welcome if they didn't do substances or alcohol during sex. And they didn't have to be in 12 step. They didn't have to be 100% sober. They just have to respect that there might be people in the group that were sober. And you have to mind your language and just don't be a dick. And that merged into doing some sober socials, like kink socials. I've done quite a few here in London. This is from 18 till 19. And I did some in Manchester, and with really good success. And I would normally do collections for charities at the time as well. So it would go to the local gay drugs and alcohol services if any collections were made. And of course, then we hit 2020, a little blip there where we couldn't go anywhere. So that's where I started Real Clear Fetish talks about real clear play, which was first an Instagram live thing where I just talked to people who are either in sobriety or had experiences around it or just chose not to drink during sex. And that's kind of just gone strength to strength. And now I've just finished season 9. You were a guest on that. And I really enjoy doing it because I get to talk to proud, um, sober fetish men who experience sobriety and kink at the same time and can navigate it and share their stories of joy and horror and anything that might bring up in that hour they talk to me. So I don't do 12 step as much as I used to. I dip in and out, but my podcast and the activism I do is my service to the community and what I give back and what keeps me grounded and what keeps me sober. So yeah.
So, I tell people, look, if you can't do the kink sober, you shouldn't be doing the kink, right? That's kind of like the idea.
Yeah.
I get it because, there are a lot of people that do things and need drugs to do them. So you shouldn't be doing it, so you, I relate to finding your own path out.
Mm.
I myself, I've gone to CMA, Christian Meth Anonymous. I've been to Alcohol's Anonymous. I always tell people the reason why I don't do that is because I don't look as my addiction as a part of my identity.
Mm.
And I don't think of myself as an addict. I think of myself as a survivor. So there's just a different use of language. And, I prefer to use a different other type of language. I want people to do whatever is best for them to be sober. But I had to recreate language for me to move forward. Um, what uniquely did you do on your path to sobriety that maybe might not be a traditional approach?
I started singing.
Singing. Okay.
Yeah, well,
Wanna hear
I sing with the London Gay Men's Chorus, which
that?
is Europe's biggest LGBT chorus. We are 200 strong when we are all on stage. I joined in 16. My good friend Dan, I was sitting on his couch yet again on a come down, and I'm just like, I'm tired. I want to change my life. I don't know how to do this. And he was just like, why don't you join the chorus? And where before I moved to London, I was a very creative person. I did amateur theatre, I did video editing, I used to sing quite a lot. I've always sung all my life, but in the first 9 years here in London, I did nothing creatively. Nothing. The parties and the drug taking was more important. So when I joined in 2016 of January, I was just like, okay, fine. Rehearsals on a Monday, so that'll prevent me from using drugs. Didn't quite work out that way.
Yeah.
You just go directly from the chill out to the rehearsal.
Mm.
How I did that, I don't know. There has been a couple of times where I've run to the bathroom and thrown up because I was so ill, or I just couldn't hear anything because I was just gone. I wasn't present. But if I hadn't joined the chorus, I wouldn't have met my friend Nick, who took me to my first 12-step meeting. So it's those kind of things where I'm meant to be in the right places. I don't necessarily believe in destiny or fate or some higher power navigating, but I'm also grateful for being in the right places at the right time with the right people. And that's and I'm not sure where I would have been without the chorus because through the chorus I've become much more creative. I do video editing on a daily. Um, I did in early recovery, I did creative writing where people were encouraging me to do that as well. So if I wasn't in the chorus, I would probably be dead by now. I'm quite convinced about that.
That is, I mean, I totally understand. That's a total. I don't think I've ever heard, singing as but it's creativity, and I'm a writer, so I try to take my experience and put it in it. You guys are familiar with lowercase letters and capital T's, right?
No?
So for Tina, Chris, they call Crystal Meth Tina over here.
Yeah, yeah, same.
We call it okay. So I wrote a poem called Parties Over, and it's written in all lowercase and capital T's. And it's about being at that moment where it's like, you know what? I'm gonna go into the light. Like I got sick of being in hotel rooms by
Mm.
myself, coming down. You know what I'm saying? Having to deal with all the stuff in your head. It got exhausting. And when I joined the leather community, it put accountability on me and made me realize that I want people to see me succeed and not fall. And I want to do it for myself as much as I want to do it for everybody else. And it sounds like to me that when you got involved in the Gay Men's Chorus, you started facing accountability. And that changes everything.
Absolutely. And also the podcast makes me accountable because and I don't necessarily see it as pressure. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a pressure, but when with doing like anything where you're public facing, you have a platform. I hate using the word influencer because I don't see myself that way. Um, but you with a podcast and a platform and doing stuff where you are promoting sobriety in a public space, people look up to you and seek you as an inspiration. So you put yourself a little bit on a pedestal. It can be a bit tricky to navigate that because the higher higher the pedestal, the more you fall if you do stumble. But it's also it keeps me in check. It keeps me humble. Um, and yeah, it's I love the work I do, and I love doing the chorus stuff and so on. It gives me I've been on stage in full leather with my chorus a couple of times. The last time we did Madonna's Vogue, and there's the rap bit at the end of the song, Greta Garbo and Monroe, so on and so forth. And because I was where I was in my sobriety, and I was just like, I'm not quite brave enough to sing solo, but I was just like, I could do that speaking bit. I'm quite sure I could. So I went for it. And I think we were 20 people auditioning for it. 20 people out of the chorus. And I was just like, I'm not gonna get it. That's me done. I was up against some professional dancers, professional singers, and so on. But I had a concept in my head of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to present, presented that, got the first call back, and then got the second audition, did not think it went very well. Talked to our assistant musical director on the tube on the way home, and he was just like, "Oh, you were all great," da, 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 being very diplomatic. And then a couple of days later, I get an email. They've kind of amended it, so two of us are going to do it. So I got the part. After talking to my friend who's the assistant musical director, and he was just like, I was sitting on my hands that whole train ride. You were so good. And I knew you'd gotten it from the start. He was just like, no, 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 no doubt in his head. And the concept was light and dark, feminine and masculine. So I would do half, and another guy would do the other half. I would be in full leather. He would be in white tails. He would be feminine, I would be masculine. But at one point, we would switch to masculine and feminine, where I would be feminine and he would be masculine. And I was just like, that's a really cool concept. And I don't mind that. You can be masculine, you can be feminine when you're in leather, and that's absolutely so good. And I love doing it. And that show became really personal because there was also a video of me talking about my sobriety. And the feedback I got back after the video of myself talking about sobriety was so overwhelming. But also doing the performance in front of my whole chorus, it was one of those main moments where back in 2016, 17, I never thought in a million years I would be able to do. And that's due to the support and non-judgment from the people around me, and also getting to a point in my sobriety where I felt comfortable doing it and challenging myself creatively, and yeah, really just so happy I got to do that.
That's a great story. I think it's phenomenal. I'm so intrigued. I wish I could see. That's
It's if people want to see it, go on my Instagram. The video's up there of me performing
so, yes, y'all. If you're watching this, this clip will be followed by me storing that. So
it.
this part will be clipped out and it will be on story. That is great. It just feels like such a comeback, kind of like and then to do Madonna and to do Vogue, such a, iconic song, and be able to do a spin on it and do it your way. I'm really kind of in this mode where I'm really trying to put a group of Leatherman together as dancers so we could do that here. Just because I feel like we need to be having fun in our leathers. It shouldn't be always so serious, and we shouldn't want people outside of our community to think that we're super serious. Um, so I think that's exactly what we need to be doing, being leather people as much as we can, and especially in creative spaces. I think that's phenomenal work. Um, you mentioned your first drug psychosis.
Hmm.
Um, I think most people, there might be some people watching this without drug experience that might not quite understand that, but that's essentially hallucinations, right?
Yes, it is.
And we talked about that, seeing things and all that. But you talked about multiple rock bottoms. How many rock bottoms did you have?
Well, it's we I would say that is the main rock bottom. That is the one that changed the directory. But ending up in a the emergency room 3 times. The first time with this psychosis, the next time because I thought I was having a heart attack. I've done so much crystal, I couldn't I was on a bus and I thought I was going to have a heart attack and ended up in the hospital as well.
I've been
That
there.
trip,
I've been
that trip to the hospital or the emergency room was quite pinnacle as well, or quite special in a way because I met this black nurse at the hospital, and she was so lovely and so gentle with me. And she was like, I just burst into tears whilst lying on her checking my vitals and make sure I wasn't having a heart attack. And I was just like, I don't want to do this, and just completely spilling my guts to this stranger who could have easily just gone, this is her day of work, don't have to have any emotion, don't have to get invested with every patient that comes in. But she took her time with me, held my hand, encouraged me. And I'm so sad I didn't catch the nurse's name, but she made such an impact on me. See, I'm getting emotional just talking about it. And it's just that kindness from healthcare is that's so important when it comes to recovery. My first drug psychosis, the staff weren't very nice to me, or at least I didn't think they were very nice to me. But then again, it might have been a part of the psychosis. But I was left on my own devices in a room by myself until I came down, and then I was sent home. This time, the nurse took her time with me, encouraged me, and said, "You got this. I believe in you." And she didn't know me. She didn't have to tell me those things. And that was so important. The third time in the emergency room was because I'd been injecting and I'd missed the vein. So it sits in the arm
yeah.
and it's the most excruciating thing you can do because it just sits there and it's just pain, 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 pain. And the I had my friend Nick who took me to my first meeting with me. He was also incredibly gentle with me and just like no judgment. Um, the doctor who saw me whilst I was there was not very impressed with Nick because Nick had been through this 100 times before with either with himself or with other recovering addicts. So he was asking all the questions. He was like, "Have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this?" And you could just see this doctor getting more and more annoyed. Just like, just let me do my job. But having the support of my friend there was so important because I felt so ashamed that I gotten to that point where I could have done damage to my arm. I am so lucky I got out before it became a massive issue with like scars of it down my arms. I was quite lucky I got out before that happened.
I feel like, as I and I have to be very clear with my family and friends and stuff. A lot of people run away or they act like they can't do anything, and I feel like that's the most heartbreaking thing because sometimes we're in addiction before people know we're addicts before we know we're addicts.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's the most heartbreaking thing to know that someone is struggling and you're like, well, I don't know what to do. And you're telling stories of people that did something, that care. And most people would judge you and do that, but sometimes you just got to be like, what's wrong? That encouragement means a lot. And, I had to make up my mind and say, you know what? Nobody's going to come out with me at the same time as me and point and be like, you know what, Lewis was a drug addict, but he was a good person. Like he was this and that. Like that was never going to happen.
Yeah.
I didn't want to come out alone, but at some point I was like, I'm tired of meeting the quality of people that I'm because there's no one from my drug past that I have a relationship with today, and some of them are still doing it. I will always say there are good and bad people in every arena. So there are good people that do crystal meth. That's just the reality. But I think as me and you survivors have been through this, I do think that our peers and our families do take a little bit more responsibility in how they approach us and how they treat us through addiction. Because if you're scolding someone just for doing the drug and not asking the why they're doing the drug, it's never going to go anywhere and things are never going to improve. Um, I think that I really feel like you've hit a lot about compassion towards addiction. It sounds like you've had a lot of support. Were there ever any people in your life that just were not supportive?
I've had experiences. I think it's more not necessarily around the drug taking, it's been around the not drinking alcohol.
Mm,
That's been where I've sometimes hit a wall with people. Either, oh, you're boring, or I even had a situation with an acquaintance of mine that thought it would be funny to buy me a Coke and not tell me he ordered a vodka and Coke. Yeah,
funny.
yeah, it wasn't funny. Um, and I've had people, but it's mainly been the alcohol I get bad attitudes about. The drug
I
taking
bet you're
people,
not drinking.
no, I don't drink
No,
either.
they're mad at you for not drinking.
Yes, they're simply mad at me, and but I think when people are like that, because I used to be like that. I used to be kind of like, oh, why are you not drinking? Da, 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 this whole stick. I think it's reflection of, oh, you're still having fun without having to drink. That reflects bad on me for not being able to have fun without a drink. So for most part, I don't get offended by it because I've been equally a dick when it comes to around that before I became sober. So I have empathy for it because not everyone I have a really hard time navigating social spaces at the most of the times. I'm on occasion not very good at masking when I go out because of my ADHD and my light autism I have. So it's it can be really tiring, and if I could have a drink, oh my God, that would help a lot sometimes. So I understand the crutch of being in a social space without with a drink to kind of make it work. That was my mainly the reason for my alcohol and my drug taking was not being able to function as a neurotypical person. Uh, it's just yeah, it just didn't work. So I kind of look at my addiction as self-medicating. At this stage. It was something I didn't know about before. I just kind of went along with things and kind of went, oh, this is just how everyone else experiences the world. And then I realized, oh, it's not. Oh, crap. Okay. So I need to learn what works for me. And in the last couple of years, I've started masking less. Does it mean sometimes I don't go out? Absolutely. Sometimes it doesn't work, and that's okay. I'm much more okay with saying no to a plan than I used to be. I used to force myself to go because, yeah, I can just drink some more, then I'll be fine. But I don't have that luxury now, so sometimes it can be quite hard work.
Wow. Okay. So this interview has flown by. This has been an awesome. There's a lot. You obviously gonna have to come back. I'm
I
gonna
would love to.
I'm going to be seeing you in Manchester. I've asked everyone the same question before I wrap up, but yours
Of
is taken
course.
a little bit different. But what is some areas of sobriety or addiction that we're not shedding enough light on?
How big a problem it is in the community, that being in America or here. It feels a little bit like people don't want to talk about it. I feel like we're getting better at talking about it, but it is such a big problem, and it's also a mental health crisis. We have a whole bunch of people in the community where the far right is now making it more difficult, trying to take our rights away. It's happening everywhere. It's becoming much more anxious place. We have to straight pass more when we go in public. And that can lead to quite a lot of self-doubt, depression, anxiety. I definitely feel it in me. I never used to be anxious about being myself in public, but I am more now. I don't, maybe it comes a little bit with age as well. I don't know, but I definitely don't have that gay skip in my step as I used to in public because I'm worried about what the guy in the corner is he gonna punch me in the face? Because there is just this rhetoric constantly bombarded on us. It's like trans people are evil everywhere. And as soon as this is just because they're on the front line, as soon as they're done there, they're gonna come to us.
Right.
And I'm lucky enough that I'm a cis white male in this world, I can blend in quite well. So on that front, I have privilege, but that means I have to elevate the voices who can't elevate themselves. And it's so important, especially at this point in time. We have our own version of Trump coming forward now with Farage, and it's scary. He's even talking about we have something for non-UK citizens here for something called oh, what's it called? Indefinite citizenship, or like you can't be kicked out without a visa here if you have a certificate from the government. But he's talking about taking that away when if he gets elected as prime minister. So all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, they can kick me out of the country if this happens. That is a scary thought. So it's everything bleeds in everywhere. What's going on in the States? It's coming here as well.
Hopefully,
It's scary.
hopefully, a miracle will happen and stop this energy.
Yeah,
You can
I
only
hope so.
stay optimistic. I get it's a weird time, but I do believe in karma. I do believe in the people. I do believe in the people. I don't believe in the politicians, but I believe in the people. And when we've had enough, we've had enough. And
Yeah.
I pray that the we have enough moment comes sooner than later, right?
I think we're getting to the boiling point at this point where
There
we've
is
had
it's
enough.
coming because the thing is that they're trying to make themselves out to be a majority, and that's not the case at all. It's just they have the microphone and they're loud here. There's no truth coming out anywhere. It's crazy, but this will be exposed. It will come, and we will be good, and we will get through this. But I think this is a great time to just unify around the world as much as we can because all of our communities are under attack. Ralf, thank you so much for being on Throwing Lights. I definitely want to throw you an invitation to come back and continue this conversation. Um,
Absolutely, I would love
Before I let
to.
you go, there's one thing that you have to do.
Yes.
You know what to do?
No.
All right, here we go. When I count to three, Ralph, you're going to say, if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. You ready?
Yeah.
One, two, three.
If you're not throwing light, you're not acting right.
There we go. That's it. Yeah. Okay, well, I thank you all so much for watching this show. Please look for Real Clear Fetish. You can find them on Instagram for sure. You have a Facebook page, you said?
Facebook, my group on there. You can also find me on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, or X, Blue Sky, wherever socials are.
So he's got 9 seasons. Go check it out. That has been Throwing Light for this episode, and we are out. Bye.